Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsessions
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Cation, and you are listening to The Dork Forest. The website's JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com if you like a determiner. Let's do the credits. Patrick Brady's going to fix this audio and video. Vilmos works on JackieCation.com, and Mike Ruekberg sang the song with his wife, Sarah. He composed it, and he will sing his version of the Mexican hat dance at the end of this show. Thank you so much for listening to The Dork Forest. Here's a scoop. I'm doing stand-up online. A lot of Zoom shows will eventually go back on the road. Sign up for my email list. It's easy to get off. It's harder to get on than it is to get off. And no harm, no foul. If ever bored, JackieCation.com, sign up for the email list. You'll find out about my weekly Zoom shows and stand up on the road eventually. You may donate to the show if you would like. I would like. Sure, I would. There's PayPal, Jackie at JackieCation.com, and there is a PayPal button on both DorkForest.com and JackieCation.com. And there's Venmo, if you like Venmo, Jackie-Cation, oddly enough. If you have listened to all of the shows, go to dorkforest.bandcamp.com, I think. The Dork Forest has a Bandcamp page. You can listen to a lot of ones that are free from pre-2009 when I started pre-recording. And then there's live episodes that cost me a couple of bucks, so I charge you a couple of bucks. There's also some stand-up. There's a story album that's very exciting there. And other than that, I have a lot of merch in my garage. Feel free to order if you know anybody who doesn't have any CDs or the DVD. And you can follow me everywhere at Jackie Cation. Let's get into the show. Hi, I'm Jackie Cation. And yes, it's the Dork Forest again. You've chosen wisely. Let's get into it. Here's a scoop. I'm in my garage, but Alison Leiby is over there in the East Coast. Welcome to the program, Alison Leiby.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. This is great. Here, anywhere.
Anywhere. Just talking to another human face.
Yeah.
Always nice.
Any connection is worth having at this point.
Exactly. And I will say this, is that I had your co-host of the horror, Ruin a Horror movie podcast, Hallie Kiefer, called Ruined. And we had a lovely talk. It was probably 2 episodes ago now.
She's
and
the best.
That's so great. I'm so glad you like, I used to have a co-host on the Dork Forest back in 2006 to like 2008, I think, 2009.
It's hard to imagine that period of time.
Like, oh, right.
It feels it sounds so long ago. I mean,
it was 15 years ago now, 14 years ago. It's so long ago. Yeah.
Wow.
It's banana land. But he was a good egg. And when he decided to leave, there are some of our friends. It was early days. It was the Wild West of podcasting.
Ooh.
And some people had broken up their friendships. And we decided, Joe Wilson and I, that the Dork Forest didn't make enough money for us to break a friendship over.
Yeah.
Or it was just a podcast. So it was fine.
Right.
And
yeah.
And as much as I love doing it, and he liked doing it, but he wanted to kind of do his own thing. And I was like, well, I'm just going to keep doing it because I like hearing about people's dorkdoms. Yeah. So, by the way, it's Alison Leiby. Yes, Leiby. And Alison has 1 L, and Leiby is spelled Leiby.
Correct.
So it'll be in the notes, folks. Follow her. Yeah. Check out the podcast. It sounds hilarious. I like the idea of ruining a horror.
It's so fun. Real slumber party vibes. Just kind of the two of us hanging out, Hallie scaring the crap out of me.
I enjoy that a great deal.
Yeah.
So I asked for a list of your dorkdoms.
Yes.
And I have to say the thing that popped out was otters.
Oh, man.
I don't know how long you can talk about otters, but I don't know anything about otters. They're not beavers. That's what I know.
They're not beavers. So for my birthday this year, which happened, it was in the winter. So like we were all deep in the pandemic. We knew that everything was virtual at this point. A group of my friends got together and one of the shed aquarium was doing these virtual otter meet and greets. And so we did, like, we all were on Zoom and like we met an otter.
That sounds epic. I want that to happen forever now.
So much fun. It was like mostly children's birthday party. Like, it's like, you know, there were like 20 people Zooming in or whatever. And it was mostly, you know, a kid having a birthday party. And then I was like, it's also my birthday. I'm 37. And I just think that they're great.
Yeah,
we learned a lot. I just love watching them. I feel like they're so human, but then also so not like how they hold hands and like.
I was going to say, please elaborate on the humanity of otters.
Yeah, they hold hands when they're sleeping and they're floating so that they don't float away from each other, which is very sweet.
Are they freshwater?
I think there are both. I think there's river otters and then sea otters. And sea otters are like the bigger furry ones.
City mouse, country mouse.
Yes, they really are. I learned a piece of information on my otter Zoom, which was that a square inch of an otter's fur, like a square inch of an otter on its body has the same amount of fur as an entire German Shepherd.
Oh my gosh, super dense.
I know. So that's how they stay warm in the cold water, because they're like a cold water critter.
They're a cold water critter. We believe them to be both kinds of salt and fresh waters.
Yes.
And where did you go? The shed?
Shed, Shedd, I think. And I think that's the
in
name Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the Chicago Aquarium. Though I could be wrong, and that would be a terrible. I'm like, I have no idea where this otter was. It's like someone's house.
It was OnlyFans. Yes. But the crazy thing is you can, I could just Google Shed Aquarium and it will tell me. And I am going to see if they still have that because.
Oh, I think they do.
Yeah. My birthday's in July. We don't know if we'll still be doing this damn thing.
No idea.
So
they have a penguin one too. They got a couple different animals there.
That you can visit.
Different animals. Yeah. So we picked otters because I was like, they're just so cute. They look so silly.
They do look silly, and they're. But I keep picturing a beaver. What do otters do for the world? I mean, beavers sadly died and made us all much warmer. I don't think anyone was wearing otter pelts, were they?
I don't think so. I don't think that their fur is like desirable for like people to wear. I mean, I don't
for human monsters.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I also don't think that any animal has fur that people should be wearing. But I don't think that it's like soft.
Okay.
Like it strikes me, having not been able to actually pet the otters because this is all digital. It feels like it would be very oily for some reason.
Okay,
you know, that's the vibe I get from otters. Like that they're struggling with a combination like dry and oily skin. Another reason I think I connect to them.
Neutrogena, you guys. Have you thought about getting yourself a potion?
Yes.
Well, the thing that what cracks me up is that I think we've exhausted otters.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot. I mean, there's not a lot to say about them.
I think that somebody has followed otters. Like, you know, there's been some otter stalking in someone else's life. You are a casual otter lover.
Yeah, I just think they're neat. That's
You're not wrong.
Marge Simpson quote. I think they're neat. They
are. It's okay. So I'm going to go to the top one last, just because I do think that you'll be able to expound on this for at least 7 years. But let's try.
There is no shortage of time I could spend talking about that topic. So we'll get there.
Let's go to snack plates. I did an entire episode once about charcuterie.
Really?
Is that what you're talking about?
I'm more I'm a snack meal person. So like I just like at home, which like has been such a wonderful. Not wonderful. Nothing about the pandemic has been wonderful. But
make lemonade.
I eat all my meals at home, so I get to pick what I'm eating, a lot more easily. And I like to have just like a plate where I'm like, I want some chips, and I also want some carrots and celery, but I also want some cheese, and I want like some leftover chicken. And I like to just like I like having a little bit of everything.
You've created your own buffet.
Yes,
it's sort of like I would like.
Buffet.
A personal buffet. I would like a tiny bit. I'm going to try the cabbage today.
Yeah.
It's, yes. Sometimes in stand-up comedy, you work in a casino that'll have a free buffet, and that's great on a Tuesday. By Saturday, you've actually witnessed what's happening.
Yes.
And the prime rib is turned into stroganoff, and you're like, I'm kind of done.
Yeah, they're like, it's the same food reconstituted as long as we can legally provide it.
Right. This is a leftover situation. But
Yes.
I mean, the good thing is you do get to try a little bit of everything. So
I do like eating that way. I'm someone who just really wants a little taste of it. Like when I eat at if a group of people is ever able to all go to dinner together again, which I have my fingers crossed that's a reality for at least 2022.
better happen.
I'm like, okay, well, let's all order different things so we can all share everything. And people are like, well, I don't know. I just want to order my dish. And I'm like,
some
no,
people
we
don't
have to
like
share.
sharing. Yeah.
Which is fair. But
Yeah.
that's why I go in being like, I would like to have a snack meal here. So everyone snack meal.
Let me take a deep dive because this is the interview style of the Dork
All right.
Forest,
Yes.
which is what kind of chips? What are your 3 favorite kinds of chips?
I gotta say, there are few things as enjoyable on earth as a fresh bag of Ruffles.
Ooh, Ruffles the potato chip.
Ruffles the potato chip. It's a classic. They don't,
Right.
It's hard to beat like opening a fresh bag of those and having the bottom is all shards, but the top ones are still like perfect round.
Right.
They're so salty. I love a very salty chip.
Oh, you enjoy us. Do you ever get the salt and vinegar? You ever
I like
do
a salt and vinegar. I can't eat a ton of them, which again is great for snack life because you're only having a little bit of everything. I live a snack life, and
I like snack life. Snack life is a valid existence.
Yes.
So here's my next question: what's a cheese? Do you like what kind of cheeses do you enjoy?
If I'm doing a full-on fancy, like I'm gonna mimic a charcuterie meat and cheese situation, then I'll explore the worlds of like a Taleggio, a Comte, maybe get like a funky blue in there, maybe some like soft cheeses. If I'm just putting together like a little standard lunch snack plate for me, and also potato chips have come into the mix, I like just a real basic grocery store cheddar.
A cheddar.
Just a basic cheddar,
cheeses. The two cheeses you mentioned earlier. What the hell are those cheeses? I'm from Wisconsin. I've never heard of such a cheese.
Yes. They're Taleggio's Italian and Comte, I believe, is French.
Okay. Are they a sharp? Are they a mild? Are they a soft or a hard?
So Taleggio is kind of soft.
Okay.
It's between. It's not soft like brie,
right?
But it is softer than like a cheddar or a Gruyere.
Okay. And yet,
so it's kind of like
and nowhere near as hard as a Parmesan.
No, not even close.
There we
go. So
go.
it's kind of like, but it's not like, you're going to end up just kind of like spreading it on something.
Right. It's not a spread. It's sliceable.
It's an in-betweener for me, which I find it to be, because I like hard cheese. Like I like something that I can cut into, I can bite into.
Yeah. I'm pro
I like a
sharp
spreadable
cheddar.
cheese. Yeah, me too. It's hard to beat a sharp cheddar. It's the Ruffles of cheese.
Right. I also
classic.
enjoy a Swiss. I like a Swiss.
I do like a Swiss. Like a Swiss. It's just...
It's nice. I like a brie too, though. Occasionally, it's not.
Sure.
It's an occasional cheese for me.
I feel like brie I only want if I'm having it with like the specific kind of accoutrement, like where I'm like certain kinds of cracker. Like if I just have like
this is
random,
a Segundi or something. This is like someone has planned out several parts of a meal.
Yeah,
and there's going to be a cheese plate.
Yes, exactly. Right. I want there to be like a little bit of honey or some kind of like mostarda or jam or I want to be able to like kind of assemble a real flavor explosion for brie.
You know what's unfortunate? The thing I'm about to say, which is that the episode I did about charcuterie, I can't remember who I did it with, but all I remember is that she recommended an Instagram about charcuterie that I now currently follow. So I don't know that I'm following the great person who talked to me about charcuterie, but the one that we both like is Ain't Too Proud to Meg. M-E-G.
Ain't Too Proud to Meg.
I believe her name is Meg. I don't know a lot about her.
She's like, I'm Janet.
I've only seen her hands. So, because she does time-lapsed craziness. So, okay. So we got Jesus. Where do you stand on a baby carrot, bag of, or regular size carrot?
I like both.
Okay.
I think I think at the end of the day, would I prefer a regular sized carrot that I've peeled and cut up? Like, I think they have more flavor.
Yeah.
But I'm also a lazy person and I want to open up a bag and just start eating.
Right. And somebody, I don't know who gave me a bag of baby carrots, but I'm like, well, I'm in now.
Yeah.
And I don't eat that many carrots. So
I go in I find almost everything I eat, I go in waves. Like I'll do a month of like, I'm having yogurt for breakfast. It's yogurt and granola with coffee every day. That's what I'm eating. And then like one day I'll wake up and be like, if I have to see a thing of yogurt right now, I'm going to punch a wall. Like I need to move on to cereal. And I think that carrots for me kind of like come in and out of my life.
Fair enough. I learned how to make yogurt here in quarantine. Quickly followed by me learning that I don't eat a lot of yogurt.
Can you, when you make yogurt, is it a huge quantity? Like, is it only worth doing if you're going to make a lot?
No, because you could make what I would make. Not the individual size ones, but like sort of the quart size ones that you get at the store. That's what I usually end up making. And and it lasts for weeks.
Oh yeah. I mean, yogurt stays good.
Yeah. It
feels like it shouldn't.
Right. And it isn't as thick as store-bought yogurt. I probably I know my grandmother used to be very proud of how thick her yogurt was.
Sure.
You got to find your self-esteem where you can.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't hard. It was fiddly to begin with, and then you're like, oh, I get it.
Okay. I thought that in the pandemic that maybe I would be someone who starts making some things from scratch that normally I buy. Like, I think about hummus and I'm like, hummus is actually quite easy to make, and I don't understand. It would be nice to have like fresh, good hummus that like I can control a little bit. And then I just never did it.
And then you just bought hummus again?
And then I was like, I live down the street from like one of the best Middle Eastern places, in my opinion, in Brooklyn. And so I'm like, why would I?
Right. Why fight that fight?
They're going to do it better every single time.
Right. I have that feeling about a lot of Armenian food, which is available here in Los Angeles anytime you might want it.
That's the thing is like, if I'm craving that food, I want the best version of it, and it's never going to be me that made it. Like as good as I get at making things, I'm never going to be as good as a restaurant that literally makes money selling that thing.
So now that we've talked a little bit about, I don't know, because wait a minute, what about olives? You ever put an olive on there?
A polarizing thing about me is I don't love olives. I know. It's like, am I going to get canceled? Yes, I'm ready. I'll take it. I'll stand behind this. I'll apologize later.
Sure. But I love that it's polarizing. I feel polarized.
I get it. But I feel like people really, especially people who are snacky and like eating a lot of the foods I like, love olives and like I like the flavor of olives, and I just struggle a bit with the texture.
And let me tell you something. How about pickles?
Love pickles.
You love a pickle.
A pickle.
Say
a bright green
dill?
half sour pickle. A bright green half sour pickle is just super garlicky, but still really crunchy.
Oh, see, I can't. Yeah, I don't like a soft pickle.
Yeah.
Some people like a bread and butter or a sweet pickle. That is not for me.
Not for me.
All right, we're back. We did
it.
You guys, Rangers, we full circle.
We finally.
So
I do love pickles. I almost always have them in my fridge. And like,
what about other things that are pickled?
So a few years ago, actually many years ago, I was recapping Top Chef. I was part of the television recapper cottage industry.
Yeah, that was a hell of an industry for
that. Really was just like, you could just make money watching TV. I mean, you have to write something.
I am on board.
Yeah.
And like, I used to read the hell out of them too.
Oh, all of them. Any show I watched, I was like, there better be a recap I can read. And I'm like, what was my life?
Because I don't know why, but the writing was delightful.
Yeah, I always
nice
really
and
enjoyed.
snarky
You get your personality in there a bit, but also there's some structure. You don't have to like become a writer who has to have like thoughts and opinions. You get to be like, this is what happened in the elimination challenge, and also I'm eating snacks, like and Padma wore another jumpsuit. Why does she get to look so great? There's all those things.
Yeah.
And one of the contestants who was then on, if you're a Top Chef person, which I am.
Yep.
Melissa King she just won Top Chef All-Stars, but when she was on her first season, I was recapping it, and we followed each other on Twitter, and she was like, hey, I hope this isn't weird. I'd love to like send you just a little like snack box. And I was like, well, you're already speaking my language.
Right.
And like, I was like, this is great. Cause she was I think a personal chef or private chef at the time. And she was like, I just have some like things that she made her own granola. She made a nice jar of like spicy pumpkin soup. She gave me some spiced nuts, and she gave me a small jar of these super spicy pickled garden vegetables. And it was like little carrots, little onions, maybe radish, just like it was super crunchy. And there was a spice, but there was like a hint of, they were some of the best pickled anything I've ever had.
It sounds amazing.
That was maybe my first encounter or like first time really liking pickled things that weren't traditional pickles.
There is something, and the implication is that it's Armenian, and maybe it is. I don't even speak Armenian. I can do church and food, which is why I've never seen that. This food makes me slightly suspicious, but also unmoved.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: there is a fast food chicken restaurant in Los Angeles called Zanku Chicken.
Familiar.
And they have a beautiful garlic butter side that is a delight. But whenever you order anything, whether it's a chicken sandwich or just whatever you order, you get a side of pickled turnips and pepperoncinis.
Yes.
And pickled turnips, here's the thing about pickled turnips. I want 2. I want 2 strips and I'm done. And they've given me 30 because turnips are free.
Right.
And so I end up throwing them away. And they're like, well, you could keep them in a jar. And I was like, no, the next time I go to Zanku Chicken, which will be sooner than me hunting around looking for a pickled turnip.
Truly. I think in general, like things like pickled vegetables and stuff, like I'm like, I only really, again, like I'm a snack, but I think like some things you only want in a small quantity. I want a couple bites to like get that like crisp, like, it's nice to balance out like a greasy meal or like chicken or like, but I want just like a bite or two. I don't need, it's not a side dish.
Right. This isn't, I know it's a vegetable, but it isn't my vegetable.
Yes.
And
I feel that. I really feel that.
Yeah. And I think that there's a better way to pickle turnips.
There probably is.
And because I think you're right about pickled vegetables is that it's a skill. And I've had really good ones. And I've also had super mediocre ones that came in jars that people were proud of and were willing to charge me $7 for.
Yeah.
And
that's a letdown.
It's a bit of a drag. So, okay. So what else? So now the chicken.
Yeah.
I have to admit, do you cook your own chicken or do you end up buying those rotisseries?
I mean, I love a grocery store rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, they are.
I just think like they're easy. They feed you for several days. I'm a
they're almost free. They're like $6 or
it's like $7 for a whole chicken that is seasoned and cooked better than I'd say a few times a year I'll roast a chicken.
Okay.
Or like roast a full chicken and be like, all right, now I'll just kind of like pick at this like a raccoon for a week, which is how I'll eat.
Yes.
I mean, I cook a lot. So like I'll make steak. I'll make
other meats.
I'll make a bunch of like chicken breasts or thighs or something like that. So I'll have that around. I am a chicken tender aficionado. I love a chicken tender. I love a chicken finger. I think that like they are absolutely a great food.
Wait, even from McDonald's?
So I don't do fast food chicken.
You're smart to not do it.
Or meat not because it doesn't taste good, but like I just, there are everybody has their arbitrary lines that they're like, I'm not going to eat this, that I'm a certain age and I'm tracking my health in a certain way. And this is a thing I won't eat, even though like I will eat an entire pizza by myself. Like, but that's
delivered by a person.
Yes, exactly.
So it's sort of a fast food pizza. And
I love, and I keep, and like chicken nuggets, I love fried chicken. Just everything in that world. It's delicious. And like, I keep frozen these very fancy, they're like all hormone free white meat in like organic breadcrumbs, like whatever, these like chicken nuggets that are for, I guess, rich kids. And I keep them in my freezer. And
you're an adult. You get to.
I get to.
What's the brand name on that?
They are Earth's Best.
Okay. Well, they're not screwed around.
No, they come in a blue bag or box, and I will take out like 4 or 5 of them. They're super low calorie because they're for children. So like, they're meant to be healthier.
Right.
And I will coat them in Old Bay because I am from Maryland and I put Old Bay on everything.
What is Old Bay?
Old Bay is the best it is the seasoning that most people associate with crabs and shellfish.
Oh, okay.
It's like very kind
of
like
a seasonal
spicy,
mix?
salty. Yeah, it's a seasoning mix. It comes in like a little yellow and blue and red.
I've seen it.
You've
there's
definitely
no
seen
way
it
that
at a
I've
grocery-
not.
You've seen it at a grocery store in the seafood section, just kind of like in Maryland, like you could buy it at 7-Eleven. It's just everywhere and it's to me the best.
Just
flavor.
instead of salt, people are like, I'm just gonna put some Old Bay.
I'll just sprinkle some old. I put it on popcorn. I put it on eggs. I put it on everything. But I put it on these chicken nuggets and like I'll heat those up and I'll have like 3 or 4 little chicken nuggets on my snack plate with like the chips and the pickle and the cheese and the carrots.
Yeah. Very nice.
Just a little protein. Little treat.
You gotta treat it up. Here is where now let's backpedal. Okay. I'm always curious about this. You're ordering. You're in a restaurant. Think back to 2019. You're in a restaurant. You're having a personal pan pizza. What do you get on it?
Oh man,
not pan, just a personal size
pizza. I guess it depends on what the restaurant is and like if it's a like nice Italian place that really has that like knows what they're doing. I would be more adventurous.
Oh,
how
does that define?
Maybe do like if there's like a prosciutto and arugula kind of situation, like I would do that at a certain restaurant. But if we're just talking about a standard pizza place, I am a no frills. Like I like a plain cheese pizza a lot of the time. Just to like you can't.
That's
beat
New
the
York
classics.
in ya. That's New York for you. Because you're just like, I don't know what is happening over here, but that cheese pizza just came out of the oven.
I just want that fresh, greasy slice. That's what I like. But I also, I'm a big peppers and onions person.
Bell pepper, onion.
Green bell pepper, fresh, some onion.
Right.
And at certain places, I'll go pepperoni, which most places I won't. I don't like a big, thin pepperoni, like the large that are like silver dollar sized.
Oh, yeah,
I like the little ones that get crispy.
Right. And also our tiny receptacles of grease.
Oil. Yes. They're little grease cups.
Yep.
Carl Hess calls them savory gushers, which I think is a great explanation.
Carl
of what
Hess, you guys, inadvertently designed my Christmas card because he took an amazing picture of 2 palm trees that were on fire here in Los Angeles. And so cool. I printed that picture, gave him photo credit, and then wrote Happy Holidays over it.
That's perfect.
Carl Hess. But here's my thing about pizza. I will eat, of course. The thing with pizza is that you will eat whatever pizza there is because it is
in front
pizza.
of me. I will eat it.
Yes, and so if someone else has ordered pizza and it's weird or it has something on it that I don't like, I'm like, I guess I'll figure that out around the eating of this pizza.
Yes.
But when alone in a personal pan pizza, the only things that I will order on a pizza are mushroom, black olive, and onion.
I like mushroom too.
Yeah,
mushroom is good.
But what now? I'm in a relationship, and the person that I am in a relationship with enjoys meatballs or some sort of other meat on a pizza. And meat on a pizza makes a pizza a little too greasy for me sometimes.
It's a lot for me too.
But I've gotten used to it because he's willing to do mushrooms and black olives and onions as well.
All right. There's some compromise there. I feel like pizza's often about compromise.
It really is. I have to write that down.
Yes, pizza is often about compromise. Like even like I already said I don't like olives, but like if there was pizza that had olives, I would either just eat it or like happily we'll just pick off the olives and eat it and have no problem. Whereas there are other foods where if I don't like something, I guess like they come off easily.
Right.
Like a pizza topping inherently is easy to remove.
Right. Because I actually, there was a bad couple of years where there were too many green bell peppers in my life. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'm overwhelmed by green bell peppers, and other times I just eat them and go, oh yeah, remember those years?
Yeah.
And so
you gotta, again, it's all ebbs and flows with food.
Yeah. I'm not going to fight that fight some days.
Right.
Some days that's not the hill I'm dying on.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what about crackers? You ever do a cracker instead of a chip?
I love crackers, especially if I've got some cheese. I like cracker. I like cheese, cracker, grape. That's like a go-to for me, or apple.
Oh, that is nice.
I like that. That's a nice. And I love Triscuits. I love everything that Triscuit is doing. I also, they've got they like Triscuit. I feel like 7 years ago was like, what if we made 1,000 flavors and none of them made sense? And everybody was like, yeah, we're going to buy those. Yeah. Like there was one I tried and I don't even I like a salty sweet mix. Like I just said, I like, a grape with my cheese or an apple, but like, I don't love like they had one flavor and it was like fig and olive oil. And I was like, how would this be good? There's just no way it's going to be good. And I had it with a little bit of like a tangy cheese. And I was like, well, this is maybe one of the best things I've ever eaten. Like, I was like, you guys, you got me. Triscuit, you win.
Right. Triscuit win. Here's where I'm sort of at that with Oreo.
Yes.
Because the Oreos are doing some weird, not enough. Like I'm not a huge cookie person. So here's what I want them to have all year long that I couldn't even find them at all this year, was the peppermint bark Oreos.
Yeah. I love a mint chocolate combo. I think that there are a few things. This is something Hallie and I have disagreed on many times. She does not like. I think that mint is a great. Like I love a mint Milano cookie. That's like.
Oh, sounds delightful.
It's great.
Yeah,
a little refreshing. And Andy's mint. Oh, that's a mint. That's a tiny little candy bar.
That's a tiny little candy bar that is, quite honestly, made out of that weird plastic chocolate.
Yeah.
That Andy's mint and those donuts. I have to be in a certain mood to have such a, because it's a plasticky chocolate.
They're a specific taste, like craving, where it's like, but like sometimes I'm like, wow, I wish I had one of those right now. Yeah.
Oh, right. Like we'll hit a gas
Not
station.
Often, but yes.
Right. You'll hit a gas station. You're like, is today that day?
Yeah.
And most days it is not, but
No.
some days it's a glorious day.
It's just going to hit you and you're like, this is it. And I have to follow my truth, which is eating fake chocolate.
Right. A plastic chocolate donut. Sometimes when I'm on the road, Andy will get the big ones from Entenmann's.
Oh, sure. Yes.
And I was like, there's like 6 full-size donuts in there. And he's also very thin. And he likes to run. There's all things. What I'm really saying is I've won the lottery as far as how healthy and handsome he is.
Yes.
And this doesn't accelerate or do any of that. So, but at least I don't buy a box of full-size donuts.
Yes.
That's where I feel like I've grown as a person.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I feel when I was younger and we were a snack food family, like our house was the house that had the Chips Ahoy, the Ruffles.
Oh, okay.
You know, my parents like snack food too, and they're like, you know, relatively like everything. We ate salad and vegetables with every dinner.
Right.
Like, we were healthy-ish, but like definitely also still like, I mean, to this day, if I showed up at my parents' house and there was not a bag of Hershey Kisses in the fridge, I'd be like, something happened to Mom. Like, I don't know where she.
What have you done with her?
Rectify this.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I would be like unable to control myself around like, especially the sweet stuff, like like I could eat a sleeve of Chips Ahoy and like not even think about it. And as I've gotten older, I've been like, oh, I want to buy cookies or candy in my house, but I get anxious. I'm like, oh, am I just going to eat it all? And I've like learned that like, oh, I actually like don't like eating sweets that much.
Right. Not actually eating all of the things makes you appreciate the one that you ate.
Yes, exactly. I don't find myself, I mean, there are certain things where I'm like, this is a dangerous slope for me in this house, and chips are, you know, certainly more in that category. But, you know, I can keep candy around and it's not a crisis level event.
Right. Well, and I also have tricked myself into thinking that all the candy and cookies in the house are Andy's.
Oh, that's nice.
And so when I was a child,
ownership.
Yes. And when I was a child, you couldn't eat other people's food. Like, and because there'd be treats that other people would buy kind of I'm the youngest of 6.
Yes. Oh, okay.
And so there had to be a line there.
Yes.
So if I just go, well, that isn't mine. It's you don't get that.
That's a great exercise.
Right, because my problem is not, and I do genuinely think I have a food issue, but it's and it's just to no one's surprise. But but I think it's not what I'm eating. It's literally how much I'm eating. Mm-hmm. It's just quantity rather than quality. And I use it as a tool to you know, sort of keep the voices at bay sometimes. And
absolutely.
Here's something that he does that I don't do, though. I have to find a couple of things that I do. It turns out that I do better. Interesting.
That's what a relationship is. Finding the things that you do better than your partner.
Let's split this. And is that he eats standing up. Do you eat standing up? Because of the snack plate thing might encourage it.
I do graze in my kitchen because my kitchen is like full of snacks that I can kind of stand in the kitchen and just pick and go or like, you know.
And now I've eaten. And
I've assembled half the plate and I'm waiting for the chicken nuggets to continue heating up in the oven, I'll start, I'm like, I could have a celery. I could have a little piece of cheese. Like,
Right.
I feel like in life, I used to eat standing up so much more than I do now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Like now I'm like, I could be sitting. There's no reason not to be sitting. I've been sitting all day. I'm going to sit all night.
Right. I guess
my house.
I stood
and I
up
haven't
and
left
walked
it in a
over
year.
there. Yes, exactly. And oh my God.
Oh God.
I just took some road work in mid-April because
Oh wow.
I got the
That's
first shot.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
like excited for, this next phase.
Well, it's so
Of
weird
life.
because I was so annoyed and so chomping at the bit. And now that I've gotten the first, I'm like, no, I'm used to going nowhere and staying in my
Yeah.
house and literally, just not standing anywhere near anyone and just leaving
I
a tip
know.
underneath a coaster outside my door when people deliver things.
Yes.
And now I have to rejoin
Society.
Yes.
Yes.
And not just on Zoom. So
It's going to be an interesting few months as everybody kind of like recalibrates.
yeah, we got to recalibrate. It's so you're inside the whole year,
Inside.
and one of your dorkdoms was houseplants.
Houseplants, I just
Did you have
love
them before?
I
Have you always?
had houseplants before the pandemic.
Yeah.
But the pandemic, as I said, I am a single person who lives alone. So they are all of the engagement that I had for the year. Was just, I felt like I knew when I lost it early in the pandemic, which was when on my Instagram stories, because I had to water all my plants all the time. And started doing videos of like them watering them and being like, girl, you're so drunk. Like, just acting like we were like going out. And like, and then I was like, I guess this is me, losing my mind, but also like needing the outlet of like writing some jokes and like
Coping.
performing.
It's called
and just
coping.
coping, getting
Yes.
through the day. But I now have so many because I just moved to a new apartment, but my previous apartment, which was 5 blocks away, was above a plant store. And so
Oh wow.
coming home, I would come home from work and I'd be like, I'll just see if they got anything. Just a little buddy. I'll just get a little thing to
Yeah.
bring. And like, all of a sudden I blinked. I was like, why do I have 14 houseplants? Like, it's so many. They outnumber me in a way where there could be a mutiny and it would be over. Like, I would be gone.
Right. Are any of them Venus flytraps?
No, I won't play with the ones that eat living things.
Yeah. That's going to end poorly.
Yeah.
Talk about ruined.
Yes.
Talk about a horror film that's going to end badly. You're going to want vegan plants.
Yes.
By the way, I should probably tell people that who I'm talking to because we're at like 35 minutes. So
Yeah, why not?
Alison Leiby is a comic and has a podcast called Ruined, and it is about ruining horror movies for her.
Yes.
Hallie Kiefer loves them and has gotten to watch them. So you
Yes.
get both sides of watching a horror
Yes.
movie.
If you're a scaredy cat like me, like great, you never have to see that movie and you get to know what happens in it, which is like all I've ever wanted as somebody who doesn't like horror is to be like, but just like tell me what the twisty ending
That's
was.
it. That's it.
what
Me
I want to
too.
know. So if you're like that, and if you love horror movies, Hallie is an amazing, recanter of
Yeah.
all of the gory, twists and details, and she's very funny. So we have a great time.
Do you ever get people listening and then going, have you seen this one or that one to her?
Yeah,
so
people.
that she can,
Oh yeah. People
Yeah.
definitely write in and they're like, do this one. I won't see it. Please. Like people like recommend also like, obviously there's so many quarters of the horror genre, but like
Right.
there's always people who are like, I read the description of this and it's so messed up. I could never watch it. Could you please watch it?
And tell me what happens.
Yes.
And,
so
yeah,
we're doing a
that's-
public service.
Really, you really are. You really
Yeah.
are. So are you doing a fern with the plants? What are you doing?
So, I had a fern and it was so beautiful and it was very delicate and they require, I'm still like kind of learning like which ones I can handle. Cause
Right.
like I bought a cactus, this like huge cactus. I like had a bit that I used to do about it in stand up when that existed.
Yep.
Where I bought this, like I got, in the joke, I'm like, it's a $300 cactus. But of course I was given a gift card to a fancy plant
Cactus.
store. And that's
Yeah.
the only reason I could afford or decided to spend that kind of money because it wasn't my money. And it died like 3 weeks after I got it. And then like it's a cactus. So like even just getting it out of the pot was like a nightmare because it's so sharp and scary. And
Right. And you want to keep the pot.
yeah, the pot was also part of the $300 experience. So I'm not
Right.
going to lose it. So now I have a big like peace lily in it. And it feels like the antithesis of that entire experience. So I've got a big peace lily because they don't need a lot of sun. So you can put it anywhere in your apartment.
That's great.
I like a pothos because they're the ones they're very hard to kill.
Okay.
And they're just I guess if I had to describe them, I would be like, they're kind of plain. Like they're the model for just plant, lowercase p. Like that's, if you're like, what's a plant? You're like this, it would be like on like a flashcard. If it was a vocabulary word, it would be a pothos. Like they're just leafy green plants that are pretty hard to kill. And their vines grow really long. So you can kind of, use that. You know, you've definitely, most people don't know they have one in their house.
So they're seeing, right. Is it that?
Yes, that's it.
I've totally seen that.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
The easy care.
Yep. They're like for people who
pothos.
can't take care of anything. It's like get a pothos. You can put it wherever. It doesn't need a ton of anything.
And hilariously, I typed in the word apothos, and it's actually pothos.
Yeah.
Pothos is right. It's actually the pothos is the name of the album.
Yes.
The name of the album. It's the name of the
name of the album.
yeah, name of the plant. So you've got a couple of those or one of those.
I got a couple of those. I've got I have a snake plant. I have 2 snake plants actually. They are also would be very familiar to you or anyone listening if you're like, what the hell is that? Like they're just kind of the tall leaf. It's just kind of like spike. My friend described it when I bought one as like, she was like, it looks like the hair of someone, like a cartoon on Nickelodeon. Like, yep, that's them. Just
And they're
super
called
simple.
snake plants because they kind of look like, but they look like a tall, like a
Yeah, they look like a bunch of snakes sticking out of the
standing up.
ground.
Yeah.
They also are pretty hard to kill.
Nice.
And can be, and what, you know, you don't need to water them much.
Right.
And then I've got I've got a pencil cactus that
Okay.
they're just it looks like a lot of green pencils all glued together. That's kind of what
but
they
it's
are.
many.
Yes.
Okay.
Many sticks.
Okay.
And it's another great plant that like as long as you got some sunlight, you can forget to water it for yep. There you go. For weeks at a time, and it'll
Feel
just
free to
keep
tune
growing.
into the YouTube, you guys, because you're getting me holding my phone up.
Yeah,
And,
yes, perfect.
I once had a bonsai tree. Have you ever done any
know,
reading?
I haven't ever had one. I feel like I wanted one when I was young because I remember there was a bonsai kiosk in our mall, and I would always be like, "I want one of those," and my mom would be like, "What? You're 10. You can't. I'm not buying you a plant." Like,
I think I was 30 and I killed it in a week. And,
yeah, they seem fragile.
delicate.
Yes,
Yes.
very.
But very pretty. It was
pretty.
Was gorgeous. And
Did it have kind of like? I feel like when I see them, and maybe this is because I only associate them with the kiosk in the mall selling a very specific planter style, but like it almost felt like they had a whole scene to them. Like,
it
there's like
looks
some
sort of like
moss
that
and-
that one side umbrella kind of situation where the
sure.
where the trunk is on one side and then they've curved it to make it look like sort of a shade or an awning. And I don't know what kind of tree it was. All I know is the guy who made it, and he gifted it to me. I killed it immediately, and I felt really bad about it. He was like, "No, it's all right. I make a lot of them," and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, man,
all right."
And what is there one that you would get that if you like? Do you end up reading about houseplants? Do you end up?
Yeah, I follow a couple of different, I mean, maybe like 5 or more plant Instagram accounts. Some of them being just like, look at these pretty plants, and some of them being like nurseries and gardens that you can shop at. But there's one in Chelsea here in New York, in particular, Chelsea Garden Centers. Shout out to them. A great Instagram account because they do these. I want like a tree. Like I want a big, like can't avoid it indoor tree. I don't have the like setup or space for that, but it's my goal.
Your ceiling
one
looks
day.
okay. Like
Yeah,
it looks
it's
like a
definitely
10-foot.
Tall enough, but I feel like it would need to be near a window, and my like window and door situation is like already full of plants, I guess. But they do these reveals. Like they've figured out the drama of an Instagram video, and a lot of the plants come like wrapped in brown paper, like a brown paper bag kind of paper, like
Yes.
that kind of paper. And they come like wrapped up in that because like when you're transporting them, you obviously need to protect them. And they do these reveals where like they'll pull it off and like all of the, a lot of the plants are wider than they are when they're wrapped up. So then they like explode like.
Oh, it's sort of a fancy unboxing.
Yes, exactly. They're really fun to watch. And I just end up like watching hours of those sometimes. And I'm like, wow, you need to just go outside. These are there. Like you could go to the park and see some of these.
There are trees.
Yes.
And that's so funny. But there's, whenever I get into stuff, I'm just like, well, I should get a book. I should watch an Instagram. And then when you go to the garden center, do you end up just kind of browsing? And then do you have a relationship with your plant people?
So I do at the plant store
5 blocks away.
5 blocks away / below my old building. And they are, so I'd be like, well, I'm north facing and I'm on the 3rd floor, so I get this much light and this is how much room I have. And they're like, oh, you want this one? And they're very good at like picking like what goes in what pot, which I like that kind of artistic adventure.
Okay, because of how it will grow and then how it will look once it's tall in that pot?
Yes, because like some of them when you buy them are one thing. They're like, oh, well, it's like a young plant. And like as they grow, like a pothos, for example, you could buy it and it's just like, oh, I'm some leaves. And like I have one that I've had for like 4 years that like is now vines that reach the floor.
Right.
So I had to like get a pot that like allowed for that kind of growth.
And so you repotted it.
Yeah, I do a lot of repotting. I have a pretty good vacuum now, but now I have a terrace, so I can do it outside if I want to.
That is nice. Can you hear the garbage truck go by at my house, my apartment, my garage, wherever I am? Good for me.
I did not hear that.
All right. Well, it's loud.
Loud to you.
So I've been getting some comments about how that audio has changed a little bit around and so I'm a little aware.
Yes.
And then
in my old apartment, I lived across from an Islamic center and then a mosque, and which was like
5 times a day.
5 times a day, and it would like, and I actually found it kind of soothing. The annoying thing is like it doesn't line up with a specific time of day, so it's not like you're like, oh, it's noon. Like you're like, oh, the sun is.
It's not a cuckoo clock. It's
right, exactly. Yeah, it's not a church
prayer.
Bells. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So it's like not. They're like we're not doing this to measure time for you, which I'm like rude. But I found it very soothing every time I would like. I stopped hearing like I lived there for years, and like I stopped hearing it at a certain point. But like when we were recording our podcast from home when I was still living there a few months ago, like we'd be like, all right, we have to hold for prayer. Just like wait.
Well, and here's a nice thing though, is that how great would it be if it just reminded you to sort of get in the moment?
Yes.
How beautiful would that have been?
I feel like it did.
Yes.
Like it takes you out of like TV a little bit, but it's I was like, oh, it's so weird living at my building now is just I lived on a very busy street in a very old building, so it was just a loud place to live, and now I'm in a newer building that's off the street a little bit, and I feel like, oh, this is what it's like to not live in the din of the city, which is like part of why I live here. But I'm also like, oh, it's nice to just sleep through the night. Just kidding. I haven't done that in years.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah. I will say I live in Van Nuys in Los Angeles in the Valley, and there is a constant. I'm essentially in between 2 hospitals, a police department, and 2 airports. So
perfect.
Allow me
Great for audio.
It's the helicopter. It's a golden age of being a helicopter pilot, is what I'm saying in Van Nuys, and good for them.
Yeah.
So you want a tree, but here's the thing about an indoor tree: will it stop growing when it hits the ceiling? Will it course correct?
It depends. I feel like they know how much space they have.
Right.
I feel like they must.
They must, because they stop growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they run out of sort of nutrients or space.
Yeah, space, or if they're not getting enough light or whatever.
It could be like a jungle. You could get like a.
I want that.
That's what.
That's what my end goal for this apartment. I like joked early in the pandemic where I was like, my apartment is like full of plants and I eat all my meals here. Like, I think I just live at the Rainforest Cafe now. Like,
it's got to be good for circulation of air.
I think so. I tell myself that every time I drop like $50 at a plant store. I'm like, this is an air purifying purchase.
I have an air purifying purchase that Lori Kilmartin suggested I do, and my electric bill has been crazy the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Because I have 3 of them, and they've been going nonstop. And so 2 days ago, I turned them all off because I got the bill. And
that makes sense. I've done that with a space heater before.
And I've been coughing for a day.
Oh, great.
So in other
It's
words, I think they work.
Yeah, it's upsetting to learn that they work.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this wasn't just like
This wasn't just
thing.
some
Like, this
psychological thing
Right.
that I was
Yes,
doing. This is
exactly.
a real event. Now, this is not going to be fair to you, Alison
Okay.
Leiby,
Okay.
because we only have about 10 more minutes.
That's okay.
But I never liked that show.
That's fair. I respect I respect anyone's taste in not liking.
Anything. Me
Yeah.
too. And
Right.
and
You
I
like
think
what you
that
like. Don't like
you
what
like
you don't
what you
like.
like. And I think that spending 50 minutes talking about these other things was kind of fascinating, and I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
And so Alison Leiby, tell me about the television show Seinfeld.
I mean, I understand why some people don't like it. I get that.
What do you think what is there to like? It's
I
well
grew up-
written, I think.
It's very well written, and I think except for Jerry Seinfeld, the performances are incredible.
That's true too.
Like
acting
Jason
wise.
Alexander and Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Michael Richards, for all of his many other problems,
Well,
are
they
great.
stuck the landing. Yeah.
Are great comedic actors, like no question, and they're given a lot of like fun to have.
Right.
Like I think that like they're great.
And Jerry Seinfeld got better.
Yes, and like I think like to me, his bad acting is funny. Like
Okay.
he's so bad at it. Like, and I just like when someone is really good at some things and bad at other stuff. Like it's refreshing to remember like people aren't just I feel like now, especially like in entertainment. Everyone has to be like writer, actor, stand-up,
Editor.
host, like all these things. And it's like back then it was just like very clear that was not the case. It
Yeah.
was like, I don't know, like I'm a great stand-up and a great writer, if that's something you believe. I don't know if I do.
Right.
But like he's clearly very good at both of those things and then just a terrible actor. And it was like, well, can't win them all. It's called
Can't win 'em
Seinfeld.
all. Yeah. But the show itself it's this thing. I think I was talking to Hallie about it, is that there's with sitcoms themselves that there is this communication problem, and that most things could be resolved in horror films and in sitcoms if someone would have a conversation.
Right. Just one quick phone call or one like, oh, wait, that's not what I meant. Oh, okay.
That's
never
not
mind.
what I meant.
We're done on minute 3. There's no episode because it's just like, oh, I didn't say I wanted a salad. I wanted a sandwich. Oh, okay. I'll just change your order. Like, that's it. That's the whole plot. Like, yeah, I do agree with that. And it does feel, I think like so much modern comedy is like trying to be more grounded in realism. And like Seinfeld, I mean, it's a Neil Simon play. It's a play. It's a performance. It's like they're a comedy of errors.
Right. It feels contrived because
Yes.
it is contrived.
Right.
And it is contrived on purpose.
Yes.
And it goes to its furthest lengths. Like I wrote a spec script for Seinfeld.
Oh wow.
When I thought I wanted to do that. And the spec script was literally George was on a bus and he thought the bus driver didn't like him. And the bus driver had a very large belt buckle. So George thought that he would bond with this guy by also wearing a large belt buckle. So he buys
Perfect.
an absurdly large belt buckle and wears it on my spec script. And and the guy thinks that George is making fun of him by having the large belt buckle.
This is perfect.
And then George also has to wear the belt buckle so that we can all see it and laugh. And Seinfeld and Julia Louis-Dreyfus can laugh at it.
Yes.
Anyway,
It's so much, but that's like, like I'm like, yeah, that could easily be an episode of that show. Like that's all.
What are your favorites?
I mean, the pen, the episode where it all takes, and there's no George in that entire episode, which I find I find that character to be so funny, and Jason Alexander is such a good actor, and he's not in it at all, and it's still like probably my favorite episode. That's where Jerry and Elaine go down to Florida, and like I am Jewish. I grew up with a Jewish family. My grandparents, like I would go to New Jersey and visit them with my mother, and like I watched Seinfeld and I'm like, this is a documentary. Like this is exactly what it was like to just be with absolutely out of their mind crazy people who are just living life like they're not. Yeah, just outrageously upset.
And George isn't in this?
And George is not in this one. It's Jerry and Elaine go down to Florida. They visit his parents, and his parents are like too real to me. Like it's like what I latched onto. I was like, oh, I've seen this before. In life. And Jerry ends up, one of their, Jack Klompus, one of his parents' friends comes over and is like bragging about this pen he got that like the astronauts use because it's not affected. You can write upside down.
Right. The gravity thing.
And Jerry's like, that'd be so great. I write so many, I wake up in the middle of the night, I write in bed, and I feel like the pen, I'm always like, it's always going out because I'm like kind of laying down. And he's like, take it. And he's like, no, I couldn't. He's like, no, take it. Take the pen. Jerry, take the pen. And it's like Jerry being like, I don't want it. Like, I'm not. And finally, he's just like, I can
buy my own.
Fine, I'll take it. And then like it becomes this like huge crisis to the Seinfelds and all of their neighbors. And everybody's talking about like, Jerry took the pen. And I'm just like, this is real. Like as contrived and stupid as Seinfeld is, I'm like, but that is real. Like everybody in the neighborhood talking about this like tiny little like interaction between two people and it being a whole episode. I'm like, that's like very funny to me.
That kind of sums it. I mean, the thing is, if you could relate to that and it doesn't trigger you wanting to never leave your home again, because sometimes I'll watch a sitcom and I'm like, no, I know that's exactly that. And that genuinely hurt my feelings, or it made me scared, or it did some other damn thing where I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. And but I do remember I worked in college. I worked for a couple named Sid and Sophie Sweet. And Sid Sweet, Sweet Tees, it was a t-shirt company. I sold t-shirts for him. My entire family worked for his entire family, essentially.
Oh, well.
And he used to bitch about his first cousin. And he was bitching about his first cousin to me once. And remember, I'm 19. And he was born literally in his 70s. He lived to be like 99 years old. And he had to be in his 70s, except for he wasn't. He had to be in his 50s, but he looked like he was in his 70s. And he worked harder than anyone, like from pre-dawn till way into the night. And so whatever. But he's bitching about his cousin, and I was like, who are you talking about? And he's like, I talk about her all the time. You don't know who I'm talking about. I said, I can't tell you how much she doesn't affect my life. And how I don't care about your cousin.
Yes.
And it kind of blew his mind. He literally...
That you don't care.
That I don't care.
You don't want to like get into it about her.
He brought Mark Sweet, his son, who he was merciless to tell him the story about how I didn't care about their cousin Gussie, or whatever the hell her name was. And he was like, see, that makes sense. She shouldn't care.
Right.
I shouldn't care. It was this whole...
Like all of that kind of behavior, like I find very funny on screen, but also like because I grew up very like comfortable around that, like I feel, but I get why people are like so like there are so many people who are like, I can't watch anything that Larry David does because like it makes me uncomfortable seeing him
even
do
more
stuff.
so even more so
way more than Seinfeld's and like whatever. I understand people's aversion, but like I was talking with Josh Gondelman about Seinfeld. He's another fan of it, and we talk about it often.
Right.
And we were just like, we were both like, but the New York of Seinfeld is actually like the New York I live in, as opposed to like any other show. Like everybody's like,
Friends.
I moved to New York for Sex in the City, and it's like, okay, well, that's terrifying.
Right.
Like,
my condolences to your checkbook.
Yes. But like, there's so many like movie New Yorks or television New Yorks that people seek out when they move here or find themselves living. And for me, like, it's Seinfeld. Like, we've decided that like Seinfeld is just, you just want to hang out with your friends, and every day you're just kind of like getting annoyed by colossal morons. And I was like, yeah, that's what it's like to live here. And so like I find it very accurately reflected in a show from like 30 years ago.
Right. And I have a friend, Jim Wooster, who said that there are two kinds of people who like Seinfeld and the people who like Friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like Friends. And he goes, I'm so sorry to hear that. But the thing, because the Friends is also full of narcissists who have nothing to give to society.
Right. That's also reflective of New York and humanity in a different way.
right. And they are also self-absorbed but better looking, sort of.
Yeah.
Because they're all
you're not like offended that they're having sex, but on Seinfeld it's a little offensive that any of them have. You're just like, you're ruining the whole concept. But right, you two are dating these attractive women. You're just regular people.
Now that feels real.
Yeah.
With male comics, and but it's funny.
Surreal.
He also did Jim Wooster also did this analogy of that people who like old Albert Brooks versus people who like new Albert Brooks, and the people who like old Albert Brooks, like Lost in America,
right,
and all that, versus Defending Your Life and Mother, are the difference between people who like Seinfeld and Friends. And I was like, I think you've taken the analogy. I mean, I'm fine with
a little
it,
far.
But I've always wanted to like Seinfeld, just because I know that it's. But I always think, okay, well, just tell her you don't want to be engaged.
Right.
And
right. There's a lot of that where you're like, why didn't you just say you bought the salad? Like, why didn't you just give the pen back? Like, there's so many like things where it's like, this is so easily resolved in real life, but also like, I have watched those scenarios spin out in real life, and I'm like, oh, everybody's crazy. Everybody's just holding on for dear life to some like anything.
Right. But I wonder I always wonder, because I was talking to Hallie about her love of horror movies, and because I had Mike Drucker on, and he was talking about how he deals with anxiety. It kind of, was it him? No, I forget who it was. Whatever. Anyway, people deal with anxiety in different ways. And one of the ways is to watch horror movies and watch things get played out.
Yes.
And not be there for them.
Yes.
And I wonder if the love of certain sitcoms, you're like, it could be a way to teach people to find boundaries.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
There aren't any in almost any sitcom ever.
Yeah. There are no boundaries.
There's no communication. There's no boundaries.
Nothing. It's a hellscape socially. I do think Hallie and I have talked about anxiety in horror movies before, and like that seeing it play all the way out can feel like some kind of resolution. Like when there's resolution, there's some like comfort to that. And I do think that like sitcoms provide that as well. There's such a like beginning, here's the problem, here's it getting worse, here's it getting resolved. Like you finish an episode, you're like, okay, that's over. You know?
Right. They solved that problem.
Yes.
At least we don't have that issue again.
Yeah.
And that's so funny. Alison Leiby, I thank you so much for being on the Dork Forest.
This was so much fun. I loved all of this. This was
all
lovely.
of the topics were super fun. And we got to kind of meander around just things that you love.
Yeah,
and that's
I just
want.
like liking stuff.
Yeah, me too. It's such a Dork Forest moment.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much, everybody. Find Alison Leiby on the web at Alison Leiby, one L in Alison, Alison, Leiby, Leiby. And the name of the podcast is Ruined, and we've told you what it is. Go out there and find it. You got
go listen.
And you know the rules out there, Rangers. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?